Can we all start? Is everyone ready? Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Please put your videos on. So what was the homework? Who remembers?
Sir, offering something to Lord Krishna and learning the second verse.
So how many of you have done the homework?
I have done it.
Yeah, I have given the offering to Lord Krishna, but I could not learn the second verse. It was very hard.
But you learned the first one?
No.
Okay.
Even I didn't learn the verses.
Why?
I only offered the thing.
Why not?
I forgot to.
Acha. Shivya, why didn't you learn?
Yeah, both of them were very hard to remember.
I learned them in like 1 minute.
Okay, Anvi, would you like to recite?
Yes.
Yeah, please. Without looking at your notebook. Anvi disappeared. Where are you? Okay, who else remembers the verses?
Me?
I also remember.
Okay, so I'll come back to everyone. Shinika, let's start with you.
First, should I say the first verse or the second?
You can recite both. You can recite both.
धृतराष्ट्र उवाच धर्मक्षेत्रे कुरुक्षेत्रे संवेतायुयुत्सव मामका पाण्डवाश्चैव किम् अकुर्वत संजय.
What does it mean?
It means that like Dhritarashtra is asking Sanjay about what is happening in the battlefield of Kurukshetra.
Wonderful. Yes, the second one.
पत्रं पुष्पं फलं तोयं यो मे भक्त्या प्रयच्छति तत् अहं भक्ति उपहरितम् अश्नामि प्रयतात्मना.
What does it mean?
It means that God is saying that if anyone offers me even a leaf, a flower, or a fruit or some water, I will accept it.
Accept it. Thank you. Yes, Anvi.
Yes, sir.
So did you all offer something to the Lord?
Yes, I offered.
So this was not just for this week. You can continue this offering.
Yes, sir.
Make it a habit.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So yesterday I went to Vrindavan.
Okay. Let's discuss about what we are discussing in the class. I'll come back to you. Anvi, you want to recite? Anvi, she's disappearing every now and then. Who else? Radhya, you have learned? Okay, recite then.
I've only learned the second verse, not the first verse.
That's fine. You can recite the second one.
Patram pushpam phalam tuyam yo me bhaktya prakshati tadaham uparitam
Bhakti Uprahitam.
ashnami prayatatmanah.
Okay. Anyone else?
I remember.
Yes, Devika.
Patram pushpam phalam toyam yo me bhaktya prayachati tad aham bhakti upaharitam ashnami prayatatmanah.
Remember this. All right. Others? You all should also try. Otherwise, you will have a big backlog. Try memorizing one verse every week. Okay, Shivya? Yes.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah, please ask.
So in the first class, you had told that you knew magic, and in a few classes you show us. So can you show us this class?
I didn't get you. Can you just...
So in the first class,
Huh?
you had told that I know magic and I will show it in a few classes. So can you show it today?
Okay, after the 5th class. Today is only the 3rd class, I think.
No, it's the 4th.
Okay, the 4th one. But once Shivya learns both the verses, then we'll have the magic show.
Yeah, please.
No, that is the condition. Once I hear from all of you that you have learned the verses, you all are up to the mark and memorizing and doing whatever I'm asking you to do throughout the week, then you will have that as a reward. So up to you now, up to you all. Okay. So we have been trying to discuss today. We'll have another verse. And now we have been discussing about how to see God. Last time we discussed. And what was the best way to do that?
By service.
Serve God.
By service, yes. So just like if you serve anybody in your family, they become pleased with you, and then they are there to help you and do whatever you like if they are happy with you. Like for example, if your mother is happy with you, and then chances of getting what you want are greater, isn't it? So now my next aspect that I want to discuss today about God. Now the aspect is whether do you think God is formless or does he have a form? You can raise your hand and say whatever you know through your learning, your experience, or whatever. Is God formless or does he have a form? You just raise your hand, I'll ask you. Yes, Anvi?
I think he's formless
Okay. What makes you say so?
because no one has. We don't know if anyone has seen him or not, and if he had a form, we could have like seen him by now. Like all the good people, they offer so many services to other people, but still they can't see him. So I think he's formless.
Okay, but then my question is again coming back to what we discussed last time. We need qualification to see great people. Like if you want to see Mr. Prime Minister, I have not seen. There are so many people living in Mumbai or Kolkata. We have not seen them, but that does not mean they don't exist. There are so many places all over the world which we have not visited, and so many people might not have visited. So that doesn't mean they don't exist. So like last time we were discussing how, okay, we'll come back to that. The existence is not the point. We do believe that he exists, but form and formlessness is the discussion here. Okay. Yes, Ramana.
Yes, sir. Sir, I believe that they do have a form. Like when we help someone cross the road or give them food, so that can be God in disguise. I think that.
Okay, we'll discuss. You can say there's nothing wrong or right, whatever you. Mahi.
I think God is both has form and is both formless and has form. As for some people, he can have a form, but for some people, he's formless.
Great, great. Okay, you are quite close to the answer. Almost there. Advaita, you can answer.
About the existence question, you said that people around the world we haven't seen them, but we know they exist, right? But someone has seen them. But whereas God, and there's evidence that they exist, but whereas on God, you don't really have any evidence that they exist.
No. Say, for example, if I say he exists, then what? There are 7.5 billion people all over the planet, and everybody can have their say. Just a second, there is some Wi-Fi issue on my side. I'll just rectify this. Give me a minute. So my voice is breaking in between, right?
Yes.
So just give me a minute. Now is it fine? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Visible?
Yes, sir.
ठीक है. ठीक है. All right. So we are all free to give our own perspective, and there's nothing wrong in one sense. We have our own ways of perceiving things. But then, just like, do you know about this small g, acceleration due to gravity? Heard this term ever? Small g, Newton? No, not yet. Okay, you will read. Okay. So when you go to school, so where does your knowledge come from?
Books.
Where does your knowledge come from? From the books, from the authorized books, right? The teacher is teaching and the knowledge comes from the authorized books. Now, we can say whatever we want to say, but ultimately, and during the exam also, we can write whatever we feel like writing, but ultimately the marks will be given based on what the books are saying, isn't it? In any field, whether you're studying geography, chemistry, physics, so ultimately the marks will be given on what is mentioned in the books. Similarly, when it comes to spirituality also, or when you want to know about God, there are certain books, authorized books, and they are called scriptures. So if you want to have complete knowledge about scriptures, your knowledge should not come from WhatsApp, Google, Wikipedia, that anybody can write anything on these things also. So the authorized books for this subject, which is related to God or his creation, are the scriptures. Can you name a few scriptures that India boasts of having?
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita is one, yes.
Vedas.
Vedas.
Ramayan.
What are the names of the 4 Vedas?
Samaveda, Yajurveda, Rigveda, Atharvaveda.
And Atharvaveda.
Okay, very nice. Name a few other scriptures also.
Upanishads.
Upanishad. How many Upanishads are there?
Ramayana and Mahabharat.
Mahabharat, Ramayana. How many Upanishads are there? Anybody knows?
I know how many Puranas are there.
How many Puranas?
18.
18. There are 108 Upanishads. Okay, then there is Vedanta Sutra. So like there are many. So ultimately when we talk about God, these are the books. You may say anything, I can say anything, but ultimately the knowledge will come from the scriptures. Whatever the scriptures say is understood to be perfect. And why it is important? Now, when it comes to, as I mentioned, acquiring knowledge, why we should not say that, okay, I have not seen, somebody has not seen, so he does not have a form. But since nobody has seen, that means he can have a form also. Why focus on only one prospects? So what the scriptures say is like what Mahi said. God has both form and a formless aspect as well. That makes him complete. Not yet. He has a form and a formless aspect and something in between also. That makes him complete. For example, my father has a form, his father had a form, his father had a form, and his father had a form. And we go back. So the father of everyone wouldn't have a form? Isn't it? Just a second. There is some bike. Just give me a minute, please. There is some Wi-Fi issue on this side. I'm just logging out and logging in again.
So your voice broke. So what are we doing?
Okay, now I think things should be fine.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. So when we talk logically, say my father has a form, his father has a form, and his father had a form. When we go back, the Supreme Father, why shouldn't he have a form? We are just talking logic, right? And whatever leelas, whatever pastimes the Lord has performed, he has done it in his form. And we read in the scriptures, Lord Ram was present, Lord Krishna was present, if you believe in the scriptures. Secondly, whatever instructions he has given, when he was giving instructions to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita, he was standing in front of him. So how we understand is the Lord has a form. The scriptures explain he has a formless aspect and something in between also. Just like the sun. Now there is sunlight, right? Which is the formless aspect. Then there is a sun globe, the in-between aspect. And then there is the sun god who is sitting, who is supervising the affairs of the sun planet, the person. The Gita mentions about a person, that's what we call as Surya Dev. We read about him in Mahabharata also, right? Karna was the son of Surya. So he's a person. Then he is looking after the affairs of the sun globe. So without having a person, like we discussed in the first chapter, first session also, without having a person in charge, things cannot exist. So there is form, which also gives rise to formlessness. For example, you have a bulb or a tube light in your room. Now, is bulb the cause of the light, or is light the cause of the bulb?
Light, the cause of the bulb.
Is the light coming from the bulb or the bulb coming from the light?
Light's coming from the bulb.
So which is the cause of the light behind the light? Is the
bulb.
The bulb. The form gives rise to formlessness. So the form aspect of God is always superior. And as the Gita says, we are his children. So if we have a form, he must also have a form. But since he is all powerful, he can also manifest his formless aspect. That makes him complete. If someone says, oh, he only has a form and no formless aspect, that means we are limiting him, limiting his powers. And if somebody says he only has formlessness and no form, then also we are limiting him. God is all powerful. He can manifest both the things and something in between also. Right? Now I'm going to show you a few things why it is important to have knowledge from the scriptures when it comes to this subject matter, and why whatever we think and feel may not be right. I'll just put up on the screen some. Okay, okay. All right. Just a second. So I'm going to play a game with all of you now, during which you can learn a few things also. Okay, now this is something we need to learn today. How can I acquire knowledge about God? There are three ways, right? One is called Prataksha Pramani. You may not remember this name, or we can say experimental knowledge. Oh, I will try and experiment and see whether I can find him. That's one way, with my own senses, because whatever we experience happens through the senses that we have. Second is, since we cannot see him, so we can do a guesswork. Oh, he might be like this, he might be like that, right? And then third is hearing from the right authority. Just like when we go to schools and colleges, we hear from a proper teacher because he has more experience and he can explain things better. So let's try and discuss all three briefly before we get into the verse. And this point needs to be understood thoroughly, that when we talk about God, if somebody argues with you also, we should ask them, okay, you are making this argument on what basis? From which scripture is it coming? And if he says, no, I read it in Google, I read it in Wikipedia, or my neighbors say this, my friends say this, then don't argue with such people. Because ultimately knowledge has to have some reference. It must come from a right authority. For example, if somebody goes to a court and one lawyer says, Judge Sahab, I think this person is innocent. He's not a criminal. And the judge asks, why do you say so? He says, no, my friends were saying, and I also feel. The judge will say, that doesn't matter here. You have to quote from the law books. We'll go by the law. So scriptures are the law books. Now, there are three ways to acquire knowledge about God. Number one is Prataksha Pramana, or as they say, seeing is believing. I will believe only in whatever I see or perceive. Now, what is the defect with this knowledge is, this method of acquiring knowledge is we have imperfect senses. What do you see here? Have you heard about the law of reflection? If you put a stick inside a transparent, say, glass filled with water, it appears bent, although it is not bent. So every human being, all of us, have these four defects. And number one is our senses are not perfect. Our eyes, our ears, our nose, our skin, our tongue, they are not perfect. And with imperfect senses, how can we have perfect knowledge? Right? I'll give you some examples. Our eyes cannot see beyond a particular range. And we talk about seeing God with these eyes. Things too close or too far cannot be seen with our naked eyes. We cannot see if there is darkness. We need light, artificial light, to see things. Our ears cannot hear beyond this frequency, where the dogs can hear. So our ears also have limitations. Our tongue, orange, if you taste after eating sugar, it has a different taste. It's not that sweet. And orange after lemon will have a different taste. Water touched with warm hand appears cool, and touched with cold hand appears warm, isn't it? Have you ever tried this? Okay, you can try later on. Now, just to see how these eyes are not perfect, our senses are not perfect, to have this method that I want to understand things with my own knowledge, whatever I think and feel is right. Now, what do you see here in this picture?
Sir, I see a triangle.
A white
sir.
triangle. A white
You see a
triangle.
triangle. But there is no triangle here. It's just an illusion. It's just three black figures. And it gives the appearance that there is a triangle. They're arranged in such a way that it appears there is a triangle. Okay, what do you see here now? This is interesting.
Like a ghost or something.
Okay.
Yeah, ghost type of something.
Sir, I see a man with a lot of beard.
Man with a lot of beard.
A man picking his nose.
Okay, what else?
Babuji, I see two hearts on his face and it's like a tattoo.
Okay, what else? Just few more answers. Then I'll ask you to do something.
Maybe it's just a cloth with some holes, like some designs and all that.
Yeah, a black circle with
It's an optical illusion. So if you look at the 4 dots in the center for about 20 seconds, and when you shut your eyes, you can see Jesus.
Okay, let's try that.
Like
Okay,
a black circle with Among
now-
Us inside it.
Pardon, Shivya? What did you just say?
It's like a black circle with Among Us inside it.
Okay, all right. Now I want all of you for the next 30 seconds, concentrate on these 4 dots between those 2 hearts. Concentrate on these 4 dots without blinking your eyes for the next 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds, when I say, then you close your eyes and tell me what you see. Without blinking your eyes, concentrate on those 4 dots. And when I say close your eyes, then tell me what you see. I'll ask you to close your eyes once 30 seconds are over. Keep looking at those 4 dots. Now close your eyes. Close your eyes. What do you see?
I see Jesus.
Yes.
Jesus.
Yes, 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 yes. So just see how imperfect our eyes are. And when you open your eyes, can you see him in this picture?
No.
No. Okay.
But this was a lot of fun.
What do you see here?
So I see.
One by one,
I
one
want me to
by
screenshot.
one.
Can you go back for a second, please?
One by one. Yes, Shivya, what do you see here?
Yeah, I have a question.
Just a second. Let's discuss this picture first. I'll come back.
Right. I can see two old people.
Okay.
And the old man has something in it, a dough in his head maybe.
Okay. Yes, Kyra.
And sir, can you send this PDF on WhatsApp?
Yes, yes. Kyra.
I see two musicians
I can see 4 people.
Okay.
So there's 2 people, and on them there's 1 people that do this. I can
Okay.
see 5 people.
So same like.
I can see 5 here.
I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, even I can see 5.
All right. So just the way you look at these things.
So nice.
Even I can see 5.
Now tell me, what do you see here?
Like a lady with a large veil or something.
Okay.
And she's looking there.
Which lady is it? Old, young?
It's like a
Young. Young.
She's looking in which direction?
Like her right.
Okay, her right. Who can see an old lady here? Really old lady.
Not me.
you can see it.
Kyra can see old lady. Shrinika is seeing an old lady. Shrinika, can you see a young lady also?
Prabhuji, I just see some creepy person standing in front of me. That's what I think. I can see.
It's both.
I can't see an old lady.
Just see, some of you can see a young lady in this, some of you can see an old lady.
Yeah.
So whose perspective is right?
I can't see the old.
What I'm trying to tell all of you, this is a very important lesson that we need to learn in life, that we are not perfect. So trying to find out something with our own set of experiments will not be the right procedure to know, especially somebody who is so high, somebody who is so great, called God. So just because I have not experienced doesn't mean he does not exist. Just because I cannot perceive doesn't mean he doesn't have a form. We have such limitations. What do you see here?
Moving.
Moving.
Yeah.
Yes, it's moving.
But
I see cups. I see cups.
it's
Docking cup.
it's not moving at all.
Yeah, it's an optical illusion.
But yes.
Yes.
Yes. Okay, now.
These are moving.
Optical illusion.
Are moving.
Okay, now you just move your focus on the dot in the middle and move your head back and forth. Look at
It goes in and out, in and out, in and out like that. It's like a life. It's like a boomerang, but like.
But do you see the two circles moving when you move
Yes,
your
I
head?
see.
It, yeah.
It's moving now also, little bit.
Okay.
Okay, believe it or not, these guys are also. Yeah, I've seen some illusions.
Yeah, they're same height. They're same height.
They're same.
Okay. Now, यहाँ क्या दिखता है?
Ships,
A bridge.
some
boats and a bridge.
Some bridge, some ships and a bridge, and the
No,
ocean.
they're all ships. They're all ships.
No, they're
It's
bridge.
like the sky and the
Yeah, they look like ships only. I don't get it. It's an optical illusion again.
Okay. ठीक है. So now, this method is not perfect. Trying to find everything through our own senses, seeing is believing. Is it perfect method?
No.
No, because we are so imperfect. So one magician can come, somebody who creates illusions, he comes and he can make a fool out of us. So we are not perfect. Therefore, knowledge that we try to acquire through our own experimentation need not be perfect at all, because we ourselves are not perfect. So this is one method.
Send this on WhatsApp.
Yes, yes. So
That
this is
Christ one was my favorite.
So this is one method. Now, second method, since I cannot perceive things with my own sense, then people start guessing. Okay, somebody asks you, where's your friend? And you don't know, then you, oh, he might be here, he might be there. Now, the first method, at least there was some hope of getting it right, because you are using your senses. Some percentage could have been right. But in this method, how much reliability we can have, where we are just guessing? Guess my favorite food. Chalo, let's have a quiz.
Olio. Pasta. I mean pasta.
Kheer.
Kheer.
Sir,
You all are telling your own favorite food. Guess my favorite food.
sir, is it
Dosa. Idli dosa.
I hate it. Yes.
Idli dosa.
Sir, paneer?
Let's see. Guess. You all are guessing, na?
Biryani. Veg.
Johnny. Okay. Others?
It depends on your culture, sir. How do we know?
That's what I'm saying. Guess. I'm just trying you all to brainstorm.
Maybe fried rice.
Fried rice. Okay.
Pickles.
Pardon?
The coffee.
Coffee.
Coffee. My favorite.
Sir, coffee is
Just
very
see.
good answer.
You all are guessing. If you see me eating something on a dinner table, then you might have some probability that, okay, you will get it right. But here you are simply doing a guesswork. What is the probability that you will ever get it right?
Never. Probably never.
So 5%?
I mean,
I think
negligible,
50%, sir,
negligible.
because
No, not
always
50.
Prabhujis are always very
I think 95%. Like 5%.
Somebody is talking. Could I just request you to please keep yourself on mute? Okay. So this method is even worse. Like, for example, the theory of Darwin. What does it say? The theory of Darwin.
The story of Charles Darwin.
No, yeah. What does it say?
The theory of evolution.
Yeah, what does it mean? It says that we have evolved from monkeys.
Evolved. From apes, no, not monkeys, apes.
The same thing. But do you really believe this?
I think I don't believe it so much.
Exactly. Our ancestors were great sages, great kings, great people. They were never apes. So I'll tell you a truth about this theory. So they had been telling the Darwin people that yes, we have come from apes. We have come from apes. Darwin was a believer of God at some point of time, and one of his sons, he died of cholera, it is believed. And then he was so angry with God. He was thinking, God did this. He didn't save my child. And since he had no further understanding, so he decided to do something to deny his existence. and he wrote a book called Origin of Species, in which he describes how we have evolved from different living entities. But then somebody questioned him at a certain point that you say we have come from the apes, so there has to be an evolution. Though there is something missing from in that evolutionary cycle from an ape to a human being, at least the jaw.
DNA.
It gradually evolves. So this was called the missing link. And in 1912, it was found. In 1912, it was found. And till 1953, Darwin theory was accepted all over the world. Till 1953. In 1953, they discovered it was a hoax. Just to prove that this point was right, they found they had taken a human skull and filed it to make it look like that missing link between the apes and the humans. So in 1953, it was completely discarded.
But Prabhuji, are you saying that apes are not real, but like
No, there are 8.4 million species all over the world. Apes might be real, but I'm not saying that we come from them.
Prabhuji, we can be anything in the past life. We can be an animal.
We are not discussing that part. So what I'm trying to say that it's not that humans evolved at certain point from apes. They were simultaneously existing. If the apes gave rise to humans, then today also humans should be getting evolved from the apes. We don't see that happening. My point is, yes, there are all kinds of species in this world simultaneously existing all at once. Not that like our ancestors, you go back your family lineage, they were all great people and they are human beings. And in 1953, this theory had been completely rejected, and he himself writes in his book to some reference he uses. He says, kind of saying it's all speculation. He says that when there is no direct experience of the truth, the only way is try to speculate or guess how it might have been. So guesswork, all the theory of Darwin is like guesswork. It might be like this, if this happened and that happened. So the second method, how much faith should be put in this kind of method? There was an elephant and there were 6 blind men. And they wanted to find out what was an elephant like. So one of them came and he put his hand on his belly. Oh, elephant is like a wall, a soft wall. Somebody put his hand on his tail. Oh, it's like a rope. Another blind man comes and holds on to the elephant's leg. Oh, it's like the trunk of a tree. Somebody's holding on to his ears. It's like a chopper, like that. So are they right?
So
No.
They're blind.
they're imagining things that
They're
are not
imagining
real.
things. So the best way to find out is that they need a person with a vision who comes and tells them, Baba, elephant is neither a wall, nor a trunk, nor a chopper, nor a rope, nor a snake, nor an arrow. It is all of this together and much more. So guessing, oh, God is like this, God might be like that, is like these blind men. Somebody who has thoroughly studied the subject matter, studied and knows the truth. That kind of a person is required to tell us the truth. Right? In schools and colleges, like teacher who has experimented, who has been through, who has experienced, he can teach us properly. So this method is also not that reliable. Even more at least the first one is better because we are able to perceive something, some truth through our senses, but not perfect. Second is simply a guesswork. Like if I want to know of something about you, I may go on guessing, but there's very little probability that I'll get it right. So the best way to know the truth about me, or what is my favorite food, my favorite color, my favorite place, is when I speak about myself, isn't it?
Yes.
If I want to know
Can you
about
tell
you,
us?
if I want to know Shivya, what is your favorite food? The best person would be Shivya only, or Anvi only, or Kaira only, or Mahi. That's the best source of information. What do you want to know, Anvi?
Your favorite food.
We'll discuss it towards the end. You can remind me. Let's see who gets it right. Okay, so the best method is when I speak about myself. And so the best source of knowledge about God is when he speaks personally. So whatever he has spoken has been documented over many, many centuries in the form of scriptures by the great sages of the past. And I'll come to that, how we can believe that scriptures are actually true, right? So whatever he has spoken has been documented, his message, in the form of scriptures, and which is called Shabda Praman, or hearing from the right authority. So whatever God speaks, like sound waves travel, right? If you speak something, it travels. And all we need to do is just tune into that frequency. For example, Radio Mirchi. Is it there inside your room right now?
No.
No.
How many of you say yes? Radio Mirchi. Is it there inside your room at the moment?
I mean, like my mom puts it on in the morning on her radio. Like
No, inside your room at this moment, is it there?
No.
No.
Any time of the day?
Nope.
Okay. It's there, but you need a receiver. You need a receiver. And then you need to tune into that frequency. That receiver is the radio. And once you tune into that frequency, you can hear it. But right now you can't hear because you don't have the receiver. Right? As soon as you bring that receiver into the picture, you can hear the Radio Mirchi songs or whatever. Similarly, whatever God has spoken, to hear his voice, we need a receiver, and the receiver is our heart. Like the first created being within the universe is Lord Brahma, and he was given the knowledge from within his heart. The Lord spoke to him. It is mentioned in the Bhagavatam. But then we might say, Prabhuji, we are so busy and we don't have time. We need to have that receiver. We all have it, our heart. Then we need to tune into that frequency. And tuning into that frequency means what you have been doing last full week, offering him some fruit, flower, or when we chant prayers, when we take his darshan, when we study. This is like tuning into the frequency. But we don't have time. We are so busy, Prabhuji. We have so many studies. So then what? Okay, so whatever he has spoken has been also documented in the form of scriptures. So that's where all his knowledge comes from. Now, how can we believe that the scriptures are true? And why should we believe? Scriptures could be false also. Anybody could have written. So therefore, to check whether the scriptures are true or not, we have three methods. Right? One is, suppose when you buy a gadget from the market, along with it comes a small booklet. Have you ever?
Instruction manual.
User
Yes.
manual.
What does the instruction manual tell you? How to operate this. The instruction manual tells, press this button and this will happen to start. You press that button, it starts. Isn't it? Instruction manual tells you, press this button, this will happen. And instruction manual also have some don'ts. Don't do this, don't do that. And then it also has some contact numbers, what to do when something goes wrong. Similarly, we can use scriptures. If you're reading Gita or Ramayana, Mahabharata, there are certain principles that are mentioned. And you can try applying them in your life and see if they work. If they don't, you can give it up. But try using scriptures as manuals. So blindly accepting things is bad, but blindly rejecting things is equally bad. So what we do is try. Okay, if somebody is saying something, this works, let me try it out. If it doesn't work, we can give it up always. So one way to check whether the scriptures are true or not is trying and applying the principles mentioned and see if they work. Number one. Second way to check the validity of the scriptures is many truths that have been mentioned in the scriptures since a long, long time since they were written. which science initially denied, but now they have gradually accepted. Can you name some truths which science gradually accepted? Initially, they were denying. Okay, let's see. The scriptures had mentioned, since they were written, cow dung is pure. They don't mention about the dung of any other animal to be pure, but cow dung. Initially, everyone denied, the scientists denied. Now they have accepted. In fact, everything that comes from the cow is pure. And when some puja is also done, the whole place sometimes is smeared with cow dung. And they say if cow dung is on your walls, it prevents the cancerous rays also from entering your house. The whole world is acknowledging that. At some point, they used to believe that earth is flat. And if you keep walking, you'll have a fall at some point. But the scriptures had clearly mentioned earth is gol. Gol means round, bhugol. Bhu comes from bhumi, gol, it's round. Now they have accepted after the space era set in. And the scriptures describe it has 9 islands. So we have Saptadweep, 7 continents. Nobody believed that plants could have life till 1953, when a person called Jagdish Chandra Bose, he discovered this. And now they know. The scriptures have already mentioned the trees as living entities, living beings. How the child grows within the mother's womb. Sonography is recent invention, but the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was compiled 5,000 years ago, clearly mentions step by step how the child grows within the mother's belly. So now everything has been verified by the scientists also through their experiments. And the whole world is turning to yoga, meditation nowadays. Where is it coming from? It is from the scriptures, our scriptures. And third way to check the validity of the scriptures is that there are many predictions that were made in the scriptures which have come to pass. Like Lord Chaitanya, who appeared in Mayapur near Kolkata, Lord Buddha was mentioned, Chanakya Pandit was mentioned, King Ashoka was mentioned, Jesus Christ is mentioned in Bhavishya Purana, and so is Prophet Muhammad. So this is the way we can, like sometimes people have this argument, okay, why should I believe? They might have been written by who knows who wrote. Okay, fair enough. We accept whatever argument you give. But this is the way to check. We have to use our intelligence. Yes, blindly accepting anything is bad, but equally bad is blindly rejecting things. Isn't it? If I say, okay, God exists. So one thing is, no, I don't believe. This is another statement. And another way of dealing with, okay, if he exists, let me try and find out what is the process to find out whether he's there. So there is a process. Like I mentioned last time, there is oil in the oil seeds, but there is a process to see it. There is ghee in the milk, but there is a process to see it. There is sugar in the sugar cane, there is a process. Similarly, to see God also, there is a process. And the knowledge must come from scriptures. If somebody says, Mujhe aisa lagta hai, I think it's like that, I think it's like that. Okay, anybody can say whatever they like, but ultimately what the scriptures say is the ultimate truth, is the absolute fact. So you should always verify everything from the scriptures. This person has made this statement. Okay, let me see if the scriptures are also saying so. That's how our knowledge should be acquired. Anvi, you have a question?
Yes, so last class you had told us that you will tell us some stories, and you told us to remind you. So I'm just reminding.
Stories? Which stories?
You had just told us that you will tell us stories, like something like that.
Okay, okay. But today's the point which I'm trying to make, is it clear?
Yes.
The first thing we discuss is God is not just formless, he has a form. He has a formless aspect and something in between also, which makes him complete, because he's all powerful. He can manifest all these three. And second thing we discussed was, when we want to acquire knowledge about God, The knowledge must come from
The scriptures.
Scriptures.
It should not be based on our experimentation, because our senses are limited. We can't see things too close or too far from our eyes, and then we see the optical illusions. Somebody can create that and we can't figure out the truth. So we have limitations. Similarly, guesswork has all the more limitations. The best is hearing from the right authority, God himself, and therefore scriptures are known as the word of God. Any knowledge you want to acquire about God, you should refer to scriptures, not social media, not Google, not Wikipedia. They will have very little information. They were written by imperfect people only. So it should be verified with the scriptures. Yes, Anvi.
Sir, I have a question that in our scriptures is the sun god more powerful or the fire god?
Sun is considered to be the king of all planets. So it's not that one is more powerful than the other. It's all relative. They have different roles to play. And in their own areas, they are like, for example, if there is no heat, there is no fire. How will you cook food? How will you digest food? There is digestive fire also. And sun, of course, yes, sun is responsible for the sustenance of life in the entire universe. So you can say that powerful than fire god. He's the king of all planets, and he's greater in the sense that Krishna had spoken the Gita for the first time to sun god also. So he found him more qualified. The 4th chapter of the Gita mentions that. So yes, you can.
And sir, you have to tell us about your favorite food.
Why?
You said to remind you. In the end, you said.
You're going to get it next week for all of us. Okay. Can we do the verse for this ek bar? 5 minutes mein, then we can have a little more. Whatever you want to ask me, you can ask. I think Shibya also had a question. So just give me a minute. I'll put up the verse on the screen. Okay, let's just do this verse, then you're free to interrogate me. Can you all see the verse?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
This is
sir.
related to what we discussed today. Who would like to recite? Raise your hand. You can repeat after me. Okay, Shrinika, unmute yourself. Others can also recite, but with your mics off. One word at a time first. Yah Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya Vartate Kama Karatah Na Sa Siddhim Avapnoti Na Sukham Na Paramgatim. Okay. Yah Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya Yah Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya Vartate Kamakaratah Yah Shastra Vidhim Utsrijya Vartate Kamakaratah Nasa Siddhim Avapnoti Nasa Siddhim Avapnoti न सुखम न पराम गतिम.
न सुखम न param gatim.
न सुखम न पराम गतिम.
न सुखम न param gatim.
Now the whole verse together, everybody can recite, because I'm going to tell you all a story from the Mahabharata before we end. So we'll do it quickly. Yaha shastra vidhim utsrijya
यः शास्त्रविधिम् उत्सृज्य
vartate kamakaratah
वर्तते कामकारतः
न स siddhim avapnoti
न स सिद्धिमवाप्नोति
न sukham na param gatim.
न सुखं न परां गतिम्.
Okay, one more person. Avishi, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, yaha shastra vidhim utsrijya
यः शास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य
vartate kamakaratah
वर्तते कामकारतः
न स siddhim avapnoti
न स सिद्धिम् अवाप्नोति
न sukham na param gatim.
न सुखं न परं गतिम्.
All right, one more. Somebody who doesn't raise hand, I want to catch them. Samaira, you want to do? Okay, let's do it. Samaira, your mic is off. Okay, let's recite. Yaha shastra vidhim utsrijya. Samaira, are you there? Can't hear you. Speak. Anyways, Divika, you wanted to do?
Yes.
All right. Yaha shastra vidhim utsrijya
Yah shastra vidhim utstrijya
vartate kamakaratah
vartate kamakaratah
न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति
न स सिद्धिम् अवाप्नोति
न सुखम न पराम गतिम.
न सुखं न परां गतिम्.
Okay, Prasmita, we'll end with you. You had raised your hand.
Yes.
यह शास्त्र विधिम उत्सृज्य
यः शास्त्रविधिमुत्सृज्य
वर्तते कामकारतः
वर्तते कामकारतः
न स सिद्धिम अवाप्नोति
न स सिद्धिम् अवाप्नोति
न सुखम न पराम गतिम.
न सुखं न परां गतिम्.
And we read the translation.
He who discards scriptural injunctions and acts according to his own whims attains neither perfection nor happiness nor the supreme destination.
Yes, understood the meaning?
Yes.
That if we just try to figure out things and decide things on our own without referring to the scriptures, then there's no question of having a clarity, perfect knowledge, happiness, or supreme destination. So scriptures are the basis. For all the information, you should refer to scriptures. What do the scriptures say, especially when it comes to God? Okay, there is one nice, interesting story from Mahabharata which I want to share with all of you. So, we are meeting every Sunday. We are spending 1 hour. So what we are trying to do here is trying to connect with God, isn't it? We are trying to create that spiritual connection. And if we can do this regularly, then the Lord is always there to protect us, help us, even though we might not see him personally. It happened in the case of Arjuna. For how many days did the Mahabharata war go on?
18 days.
18 days. Thank you, Abhishek. Okay. So on the last day, when the war was over, who was the chariot driver of Arjuna?
Krishna.
Krishna. So now, whatever I had to speak to you about technical stuff, I've already spoken. Next, all the sessions, I'll tell you many more stories. From the stories, we can have more learnings. Is that okay? You want to hear more stories next time onwards? Okay. So the technical stuff I've already done with you. So if you remember this, it will be really helpful. So Krishna was the chariot driver of Arjuna. On the last day, when the war is over, Krishna told Arjuna, now get down. There's nothing wrong in this, but it was kind of strange because every day Krishna would get down first and then Arjuna would get down. But on this day, last day, Krishna said, Arjuna, you get off the chariot first, then I'll follow you. And Arjuna was confused. He said, Krishna, why today? Every day you've been getting down. Why are you asking me to get down today? Krishna said, no questions, just get down. So Arjuna got off the chariot and then Krishna jumped. As soon as Krishna jumped off the chariot, guess what happened?
The whole ground maybe shook like that.
A bomb came.
Earthquake.
The bomb.
The bomb. Shivya, you are close.
Earthquake, everyone was killed. No.
Pardon, Aman? The chariot blew up. Yes. Where did you read this?
I just guessed because you were saying bomb.
Shivya said bomb. Okay. So the chariot exploded. And it was not an ordinary chariot. It was given to Arjuna by fire god, Agni. It was a celestial chariot. And it had a blessing that whoever was seated on this chariot would always come out victorious in any battle against anyone in the three worlds. It exploded. And Arjuna was horrified. Why did this happen? And to know the reason, you have to wait till next Sunday.
Sir, you have to tell us your favorite food.
Why the chariot exploded? To know this, let's watch the next episode next Sunday.
Sir, what's your favorite food you forgot?
Yes, sir. You have
Okay. Let me first complete the story. So Krishna was asked by Arjuna, why did this happen? So Krishna said, throughout the war, you were busy fighting, shooting arrows. You have to deal with so many warriors. But you didn't know, but I could see everything. There were so many warriors, so many Kauravas who were shooting powerful weapons at you. And you were busy, you couldn't see, you couldn't notice. But I was seeing everything and I had stopped all these weapons around your chariot by my powers. I didn't let them hit you. And now since the war is over, we don't need the chariot and these weapons are so powerful, they have to hit a target. So I released them all. So therefore, in 1 second, your chariot just blew up. Celestial chariot was destroyed. So what this teaches us is that, just see, Arjuna was right next to Krishna. Number one, he didn't know what dangers were coming into his life. Secondly, he didn't realize, even though Krishna was right next to him, Krishna did not let him know how he was protecting him. So we don't need to see God personally coming with his Sudarshan Chakra or his club to protect us. His protection is always there if we are connected, like Arjuna also. And if we chant his names regularly, pray to him, worship him, remember him, spend time like this every Sunday discussing with him regularly. So whatever you all hear in the classes, now you should all go back and discuss with your family also, because otherwise you will forget it. But once you discuss it with anyone, it could be your brother, sister, mother, father, you will remember at least 90% of it throughout your life. So you can have discussions, you can tell them what you learned every day. So that's how the Lord acts. If we are praying, if we are connected to him, that he is there to protect us. We might not see many dangers in our life, but he is seeing and he's always there to protect. But we may not be able to realize, like even Arjuna was not able to see it happening unless Krishna showed him in the end. So his protection is the supreme most. Okay. What questions do you all have now? Yes, Anbi.
What's your favorite food?
Why are you so eager to know this?
I don't know. Just
Only you are interested. Nobody else wants to know.
me and Shivya.
Even I want to know.
Shivya,
And
even
Avishi.
Avishi also. Okay, mine is at least chalo, one more guess. Maybe you will get it right.
Kachori.
Kachori,
Sir, pickles.
Pav Bhaji.
So
pickle,
I
paneer.
hate pickles.
paneer.
Not paneer. Pakoda. Samosa.
Okay.
So now
Uh,
you say.
1, 2, 2.5, 2.6. All right. I 2.9.
Okay, three.
2.95.
3.
Time is up.
Three.
Time is up.
Then now you
Okay,
answer.
so I think it's dal chawal. I'm not
Okay,
sure.
okay.
Da.
How many of you like Italian?
I love
I
Italian.
hate Italian.
Okay.
I love
So
Italian.
many. How many of you like North Indian?
Mm.
So it's fine.
Yeah. So
Decent.
I prefer these two.
Oh, Italian. What an Italian? Pasta.
No.
Risotto.
No.
Pizza.
Yes.
Pizza.
So if
Better.
you all ever come to Bombay, I can take you to our restaurant. They make the best pizzas.
Sir,
Depends where,
and
sir.
one more reminder. Can you please like upload those optical illusions on
I
like
will.
the group?
Somebody, you are there on the group. You just remind me later. I'll put it up.
Okay.
And the homework for this week, of course, one is the verse. And what homework should I give you all this for this
Like
week?
a list of our favorite food or something like
No,
that.
no. So you all continue doing that. Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. Keep offering that. Make it a daily practice. If you have not started, do this. It'll just take you a few seconds. And the 3 verses are done now. Try and memorize all the 3 verses. And the homework is, we have discussed about the scriptures, how they are the most authentic source of knowledge. There is Ramayana, there is Mahabharata, there is Gita, right? There is Bhagavad. So, all very simple homework. You have to tell me one story from whichever scripture you like. You can learn from Ramayana about Hanuman, Ram, Krishna, Balram. Just come up with one. Write it down. Right? This is the homework. From any scripture. Yes, Ridan?
Could you repeat that? I didn't hear you.
So homework is, because we discussed about scriptures today, the knowledge of God comes from the scriptures. So any scripture that appeals to you, it could be Ramayana, it could be Mahabharata, it could be Gita, it could be Bhagavatam, it could be Puranas.
Can it be a short story or does it have to be very long?
Short story.
I think someone stopped my video.
It could be 4 or 5 lines also, doesn't matter. It could be from Ramayana, some interesting story that appeals to you. And that and the learning from that in one line, what you learn from that story. You can do some research and come up with a story, and we can discuss that next week. Is that okay? Simple?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Next
Bye.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.